National League Central rivals go head-to-head this weekend when the Pirates face the Cubs at Wrigley.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
The pregame at 3 Eastern, first pitch at 4. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app. Get ready for the latest NFL info you need to know. NFL Insider starts now.
We've got the full staff in play today as we hope to make some sense of Deflategate, as one of the game's biggest stars has been suspended 4 games, and one of the most successful franchises in NFL history has received one of the stiffest penalties ever. To talk about it all, we have Ryan Clark, Jeff Saturday, Adam Schefter, Mark Dominic. I'm Suzy Kolber. Also with us for the next 90 minutes, Bill Polian and Louis Riddick. Also here in studio, Jarrett Bell, Phil Savage, and Darren Woodson. Along the way, we will check in with Michelle Steele and Mike Reese from Foxborough. First things first, the penalties. Here's how it goes, handed down last night. The punishments against the Patriots for deflating footballs used in the AFC title game. Tom Brady suspended for the first 4 games of the 2015 season. The Patriots lose 2 draft picks, a first-rounder next year and a 4th-rounder in 2017. And the team receives a $1 million fine, the largest imposed against a team in league history. Robert Kraft, unwavering in his support for Tom Brady and clear in his feelings about the penalties, quote, "Despite our conviction that there was no tampering with footballs, it was our intention to accept any discipline levied by the league. Today's punishment, however, far exceeded any reasonable expectation. It was based completely on circumstantial rather than hard or conclusive evidence. We recognize our fans' concerns regarding the NFL's penalties and share in their disappointment in how this one-sided investigation was handled. Tom Brady has our unconditional support. Our belief in him has not wavered." Ted Wells, who led the investigation into Deflategate, addressed the media a short time ago.
The conclusions in the report represent the independent opinions of me personally and my team, and those conclusions were not influenced in any way, shape, or form by anyone at the league office. We made a fair and reasonable review of the evidence, and we reached conclusions based on the preponderance of the evidence standard, which I was required to apply based on the league's rules. I totally disagree with Donnie's statement that I did not describe key aspects of Mr. Brady's interview in the report. I do. Now, Mr. Yee has suggested in some way I left out important information, and Mr. Yee, is what I've read in the paper, says he was there and he has copious notes. Let me be clear. I have no objection for Mr. Yee to give to the media his notes. There's nothing, I guarantee you, in those notes that would have made any difference to my decision. So he should publish the notes and stop acting like there's some secret in the notes. He should publish them. The Patriots provided me, in my opinion, with substantial cooperation, except in one critical and crucial area. I wanted to do a second interview of Jim McNally. Jim McNally was the second Patriots person I interviewed. I wanted, after I had interviewed others, including Tom Brady, to do a second interview of McNally to put certain questions to him, and I had also discovered, after the first interview, one of the most important text messages, where Jim McNally not only calls himself the deflator, but says he has not gone to ESPN ... yet, which is akin, as far as I am concerned, to saying I have not gone to the media yet to report what I'm doing. And I had not found that text at the time of the first interview. I wanted to confront him with that. I asked for a second interview. I said I would go to New Hampshire. I would interview him in the morning, afternoon, night. I didn't care. I would make myself available whenever he was free. And not only did they say I couldn't interview him, they said they would not even tell him about my request for an interview. So on that particular point, which was critical to this investigation, they did not cooperate, and the report sets that out. To answer any questions in terms of the back and forth between Mr. Brady and my team, he was totally cooperative. At the same time, he refused to permit us to review electronic data from his telephone or other instruments. Most of the key evidence in this case, as in most cases, come from people's cell phones, and he refused to let us review the phones. And I want to be crystal clear. I told Mr. Brady and his agents I was willing not to take possession of the phone. I said, I don't want to see any private information. I said, you keep the phone. You, the agent, Mr. Yee, you can look at the phone. You give me documents that are responsive to this investigation, and I will take your word that you have given me what's responsive. And they still refused.
Let's not lose sight here that Ted Wells is obviously instrumental in gathering the information for the investigation, but it's Troy Vincent, the NFL executive VP of football operations, who is more instrumental in handing down the discipline. So what are you hearing? What's reaction to the discipline?
Well, where do we start? It depends on the perspective that you're getting it from. There are people who think that this was heavy-handed. There are people who thought it was right on. It just depends on your perspective. Everybody's got a different reaction. It has ignited a firestorm of thoughts and controversy across the league. And I think that the NFL wanted to send a message that no longer will it take discipline, any form of discipline, whether it's on the field, off the field, gamesmanship, sportsmanship, legal, illegal activities, will it take anything lightly. So it handed down the type of penalties that it did that has aroused all sorts of debate, starting and continuing with Mr. Wells this afternoon.
Mark, from who you've spoken to, what's the reaction?
I think it was as expected. I think when you realize that they took in 2007 Spygate into this decision, that was a significant change, was why I think the suspension was so big. Certainly the fine and the draft picks all played into it. Again, you look at this from a different perspective. The league office has said it's going to hold the teams, owners, and front office to a higher standard than players. And I know that's hard to imagine sometimes, but the reality is here is they're letting an event that happened almost 8 years ago factor into today's or yesterday's decision. So clearly that's a different standard than if a player is in a situation where he gets himself in trouble or can work himself out of the drug program. It's different, and I think the league obviously came down hard on that.
And for Ryan and Jeff, and you guys don't just have the perspective of players, but you were members of the executive committee of the NFLPA. What's a player reaction going on?
Well, I think it's just like anything. It depends on which side you're on. If you look at a lot of players who've lost to the Patriots, who felt like the Patriots have had some cheating going on and they lost those games to them, they think that it's a penalty that is just. On the other side of it, there are fans of the Patriots and also players who have played for the Patriots who think that it's too much. For me, I understand the Tom Brady suspension and fines, but for the team to be penalized for 2007 for Spygate and for that to now be playing a part, I was actually shocked that the league came down so heavy-handed. Not saying that it's not warranted, but I was shocked that they went through with such a stiff penalty.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think as you look at it, I fully expected there would be some type of suspension. In fact, Adam and I talked about it yesterday before it was lifted. I thought 2 games at the max, and I thought everybody talks about the appeal and that they'll reduce it down. I don't necessarily buy into that. I don't think that the appeals always get you what you think you're going to get. So I thought they'd give them 2 games, one for kind of impeding the investigation and one for the actual deflation. But with the 2 draft picks, I mean, that's laying a significant hammer down. And then the $1 million fine, I know we're kind of going over, but it's the highest fine you can levy on a team so far. So in my opinion, I was just surprised. Again, is it warranted? Yeah, but was it surprising to me? Absolutely.
The fine would have been more crippling if they put it and applied it to their salary cap, which they didn't do. And as Mark pointed out yesterday, they're in a situation where financially they're actually going to benefit from it because they don't have to pay Tom Brady's salary of close to $2 million and they're fined $1 million. Now, they take a huge hit reputation-wise, huge hit on the picks. But this punishment seems as much about their lack of cooperation in turning over the materials and their involvement with Spygate as it does with deflating footballs. The league seemed to be more offended by the Patriots' attitude throughout this entire ordeal than the act itself, which is not fully proven in the report, though Mr. Wells staunchly defended that today in that conference call.
What's so compelling is, as you said, just how varied the opinions are here. We know the report was 243 pages, and one of the other elements here is that it exonerates Bill Belichick and other Patriots coaches. Reading, we do not believe that the evidence establishes that any other Patriots personnel participated in or had knowledge of the violation of the playing rules or the deliberate effort to circumvent the rules described in this report. In particular, we do not believe there was any wrongdoing or knowledge of wrongdoing by Patriots ownership, Patriots head coach Bill Belichick, or any other Patriots coach in the matters investigated. We also do not believe there was any wrongdoing or knowledge of wrongdoing by Patriots head equipment manager Dave Schoenfeld. With that, we bring in Bill Polian. Bill, it's the second time in 8 years that the Patriots have been punished for violating league rules. How much of this punishment do you believe carries weight of repeat offender?
Oh, quite a bit. The commissioner in 2008, when he promulgated this new integrity of the game policy, which includes the standard of preponderance of evidence, which Mr. Wells alluded to, and which is the standard by which this was judged, said at the time that if there is any further offense by the Patriots, he will look on it with a very jaundiced eye. And it had to come into play. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah, I think we know going forward here, Bill, that there's going to be a fight. The Patriots are definitely going to put up a fight.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Continuing here on NFL Insiders, Deflategate marks the second step of steep penalties imposed by the NFL against the Patriots under Roger Goodell. In both 2007 Spygate and this year's Deflategate incidents, the Patriots were docked a first-round pick. No other team has forfeited even one first-round pick since 1980. And back in 2007, Bill Belichick received the largest fine ever imposed against the coach, $500,000. Spygate penalties in 2007 handed down before the Patriots' second game certainly did not slow them down. New England went on to become the fourth team to win every game in the regular season in NFL history before losing in the Super Bowl to the Giants. After the 2007 Spygate probe, Robert Kraft confronted Bill Belichick, according to Gary Meyer's book, Coaching Confidential, Inside the Fraternity of NFL Coaches. Kraft asked Belichick about Spygate. How much did this help us on a scale of 1 to 100? 1, Belichick replied. And Kraft responded, then you're a real schmuck. And if Robert Kraft posed the same question to Tom Brady right now, answer likely would be 1. But let's approach this from the coach's angle. Louis Riddick, you played for Bill Belichick with the Browns, and Phil Savage, you worked with him in Cleveland as well. So it's fair to say that every coach, every player will do anything to try to gain a competitive advantage. But, Louis, let's start with you. What was your experience with Bill Belichick when it came to pushing the envelope?
Well, Suzy, there was nothing that was ever crossing the line as far as I was concerned and as far as I knew. We practiced hard. We had a lot of demands put on us mentally. Bill requires a lot out of you from that standpoint. We were out on the practice field as long as we possibly could be. And quite honestly, I think everybody who played for him back during that time and who coached for him back during that time will tell you that he had a tremendous influence on your thoughts and your priorities as far as how you thought the game of football needed to be played. And so that's the thing that for me during Spygate and during even this kind of instance here that really doesn't have anything to do with Coach Belichick, I just never saw why they would ever get involved in this kind of thing, because the guy's a brilliant coach. The guy knows what he's doing. He can coach circles around most of the league without having to resort to anything that is crossing the line. So it's very unfortunate. I mean, I really have no complaints from my own personal experiences with him. He taught me basically everything I know about professional football as I know it.
And Phil?
Yeah, I would say with Bill Belichick as the leader, he instilled in everybody that we're going to work harder, we're going to work smarter. than our opponents. And you got the sense that he never ran out of energy. He left every stone, did not leave one unturned in terms of trying to figure out how to give us an advantage. I'll give you an example, two of them. On the night before game, and Lewis can vouch for this, he would give the players a breakdown on the officiating crew in terms of, hey, do they call a lot of line of scrimmage type infractions? Do they call multiple holding penalties? What about the contact fouls down the field? And this was 20 plus years ago. So he knew the officials better than they knew themselves. The other example that I would give you is that in the offseason, you did not have as nearly the restrictions that players have on them now. And so the developmental ability to take a player in the mid to late rounds, put on your practice squad, work with them in the offseason. I always thought that he was a real master in terms of really trying to maximize the potential of every player on the team, whether they were an undrafted free agent or a first rounder.
Yes, well, it's certainly
Suzy,
one
if I
thing.
can add-
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to add one thing. And I think most players who have played for him there, and we have a few of them there up in Bristol, the fact of the matter is when you came out of football games, if you lost a football game having been coached by him, most times you put it on yourself because most times he told you exactly how games were going to play out. And you really took it upon yourself that if you lost a football game, it was not because of a lack of preparation. That's how good I thought that he was as far as getting us ready to go. And now that you've been out of the game for a little while and you kind of look at it from an analyst standpoint, you kind of respect it even more. That's what makes it more unfortunate for me. And
likely very different views if you're on his side or you're the opponent. Like Ryan, you were with the Steelers, right? And Jeff, you were with the Colts. You and Bill Polian, and there were 16 matchups. So let's start with Bill on this. Bill, your thoughts on facing Bill Belichick and him trying to gain that competitive advantage?
Listen, there's no question he's a great coach. I said it on this program. Week in and week out, they're the best coach team in the National Football League. Now, we practiced hard. We practiced smart. We run a few against him. The difference is we didn't break the rules. This is about breaking the rules, pure and simple. Spygate, they pleaded guilty. There was no question about that. This one, Mr. Wells found a violation under the standard proscribed by the commissioner. That's what this is about. The facts of the rules breaking violations, nothing more, nothing less.
Ryan?
Well, for me, I think you look at what they did in 2007, what they were found admittedly doing, and then now there's not going to be much grace given by the league to say, right, you know what, we believe you. You're not coming in standing on the fact that you have never been involved in anything like this. So for me, it was always a culture of cheating in New England. You kind of knew it going into it, and you just played football. I think they stretched the rules, and it doesn't take away the fact that they're coached well and they play well, but it does taint what they have been doing.
Yeah, I think for the whole situation, the biggest thing for me was how Tom Brady handled the situation after they were caught and the discussions afterwards. Just kind of the arrogance of it's no big deal, kind of laughing it off a little bit. Even on the radio, they talked about. I don't think he took for how serious the matter truthfully was. But from a player perspective, look, the games are played on the field. Yeah, they're a very well-coached football team. The games I lost, I would not say because they deflated the ball, because they outplayed us that day. And so I from that perspective, I would never take away from what they did as a team. But you will now always have people who do not like the New England Patriots saying, hey, they only won because of Spygate. They only won because they deflated balls. And you really don't have anything, if you're the Patriots fan, you don't really have a comeback to it, right? Yeah, they did win, but you won at a cost. And when you say that every player is willing to push the envelope, to Bill Polian's point, not to cheating. And that's where the line is distinct, right? You'll push and you'll work as hard as you can, preparation, all those things. But there is a line that you don't cross and you don't cheat. And so how everybody wants to talk about it, everybody does it. Not everybody does it, and then after the balls are checked, somebody else manipulates them. Not everybody does that, okay? Yeah. All quarterbacks do adjust the ball, but you've crossed the line now. And now once you've been found guilty, you ultimately got to put it in the league's hands.
What's the shame of it, too, is if you're talking about the AFC Championship game, Brady actually played better in the second half.
They would have won that. They would have won that game with beach balls.
Exactly. It meant nothing.
Yeah, exactly. What makes the whole discussion really such a shame and frustrating too?
Major League Baseball on ESPN. ESPN Radio. Last season, the Pirates reached the postseason for the second consecutive season, only to be sent home early after losing the wild card. Will they return for the third straight year? This weekend they face the Cubs, who have plans to make their first postseason berth since 2008. The Cubs and Pirates. The pregame at 3 Eastern, first pitch at 4. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app.
As we hit our press coverage, and a lot of fans were curious about this, after Jags' first-round pick, rookie Dante Fowler, was hurt, he signed his contract. The third overall pick in the draft, out for the year with a season-ending knee injury suffered last week in minicamp.
Two of baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals.
That one is gone!
The pregame at 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.